هادئة جدا.
Good afternoon. You're watching the English newscast on Future Television. I'm Yumna Nofal, and these are today's top stories. The Egyptian military says it found parts of debris from the missing plane 290 kilometers north of the Mediterranean coastal city of Alexandria in Egypt. Future movement leader MP Saad Hariri stresses any attempt to change Lebanon's identity or import extremism will fail. And Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon announces his resignation after Prime Minister Netanyahu offers his post to hardliner Lieberman to expand his governing coalition. The Egyptian military says it has found some of the belongings of the passengers and parts of debris from the plane 290 kilometers north of the Mediterranean coastal city of Alexandria in Egypt. The Greek Air Force, meanwhile, is on standby on the Greek island of Crete in case it was needed to help Egyptian authorities in the search for the missing Egypt airplane. Greece is among the several countries who have offered help in the rescue operation after the plane went missing a day earlier above the Mediterranean. The A320 disappeared from controller screens over the Mediterranean south of Greece en route from Paris to Cairo, with Athens saying the plane swerved in midair before plunging from cruising height. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says he has no special information about why the Egypt airplane carrying 66 people disappeared over the Mediterranean, adding that he would not speculate on the cause. He told a news conference at NATO headquarters in Brussels that he welcomed efforts by France and Egypt to try to revive peace talks between Israelis and Palestinians as well, and said he will attend an international conference in Paris on June 3rd that hopes to set out a framework for fresh negotiations.
No more knowledge than others at this point with respect to those facts, but we certainly extend our condolences to each and every country that has lost people, and particularly to Egypt, which has made so many efforts in recent months. Themselves have to make the decision to actually negotiate, and in that, clearly, there will have to be some compromise. Without compromise, it's not possible. I'm not saying compromise your security or compromise on a fundamental kind of objective, but you've got to compromise in what the other people also need in order to be able to bring it together.
Future movement leader, former PM Saad Hariri, is stressing that any attempt to change Lebanon's identity or import terrorism is failing. At the annual dinner of the Beirut International Franchise Forum and Exhibition, known as BFEX 2016, which was organized by the Lebanese Franchise Association, he said the franchise of sectarianism, violence and terrorism will not succeed in Lebanon. Hariri added that while some may wonder whether the time is suitable for investment in Lebanon in light of the political and economic context in the country, the answer is simply yes. Investment in Lebanon should be seen as a long-term investment and put within the framework of the promising opportunities that will once again arise once a president is elected and the work of the constitutional institutions return to normal. Hariri also pledged that he will always adhere to coexistence, national unity, Christian-Muslim parity, and free economy. UN Special Coordinator for Lebanon, Sigrid Kaag, is scheduled to make a statement related to the latest message of UN Chief Ban Ki-moon that triggered fears of naturalizing Syrian refugees in Lebanon. Kaag will deliver the statement after she holds a meeting with Foreign Minister Jabran Basil and later with PM Tamam Salam. According to An-Nahar, Ban had said in a report he submitted to the Vienna Conference on Syria that refugees have the right to obtain the nationalities of the countries they live in. His remarks triggered a storm of criticism, and the cabinet declared on Thursday that it unanimously rejects any attempt to naturalize Syrian refugees in Lebanon. The cabinet statement said that the cabinet reaffirmed the Lebanese consensus on rejecting naturalization and any policies that encourage the refugees to stay where they are, seeing the only solution to the refugee crisis a speedy return to their country. At least 16 civilians, including 6 children, were killed in regime airstrikes that targeted several towns in central Syria. Barrel bombs are indiscriminate weapons typically dropped from helicopters. Their use in Syria's war has come under fierce criticism by rights groups, but the regime denies using them. Rastan is one of the last rebel strongholds in the central province of Homs, and the town has suffered a devastating government siege since 2012, as well as the deadly regime attacks in recent weeks. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights relies on a network of sources inside Syria to gather its information on the five-now-year-old conflict, which has killed more than 270,000 people and displaced millions of others. Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon announced his resignation after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu offered his post to hardliner Avigdor Lieberman to expand his governing coalition. Yaalon's surprise resignation comes 2 days after former Foreign Minister Lieberman said he would be open to bringing his far-right Israeli Beitenu party into Netanyahu's coalition if a number of conditions were met, including being named defense minister. Yaalon had been at loggerheads with Netanyahu over his insistence that senior officers be encouraged to speak their minds. Reports said Netanyahu had been considering offering the retired Lieutenant General the Foreign Ministry as a consolation, although the offer was never made. The victims of the November Paris attacks hope to see justice served as prime suspect Salah Abdessalem attends his first hearing in Paris. Abdessalem has arrived at the Paris courthouse for his first hearing since he was captured in a house raid in the Brussels district of Molenbeek on March 18. Gérard Chemla, a lawyer representing about 75 victims of the November attacks, said the victims and their families hope the trial would bring them peace of mind. He also added that the victims want Abdessalem to be served not vengeance but justice. The shooting and bombing rampage by Islamic State militants killed 130 people in Paris on November 13th. San Francisco's police chief Greg Suhr is resigning after coming under pressure from City Mayor Adli just hours after an officer's fatal shooting of a black woman sparked new outrage. The police department has faced mounting criticism and protest for months in the wake of some police killings and a scandal over racist text messages sent by police officers. Lee named Tony Chaplin, deputy chief of police and head of the professional standards and principal policing bureau at the department, as acting police chief. He is of African-American descent, and hours earlier, Suhr told reporters 2 officers approached a 27-year-old woman as she sat in a car that has been reported as stolen. This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. The Egyptian military says they found parts of debris from the missing plane 290 kilometers north of the Mediterranean coastal city of Alexandria. Future movement leader, former MP Saad Hariri, stresses any attempt to change Lebanon's identity will fail. And Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon announces his resignation after going face-to-face with Benjamin Netanyahu and being offered his position to Avigdor Lieberman. Those are your Friday headlines. I'm on Future Television. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you again tomorrow.